Hello, fellow audio nerds. I'm Steph, and this is Major Hi-Fi. I'm so stoked to share with you my review of the Hifiman Ananda. These light planar magnetic headphones are the newest from Hifiman, and they made my ears absolutely smile. So I'm super excited to share them with you today. Let's go back in time, and I'll show you my first impressions, then back here for my overall thoughts. All right, here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to my place. So today I'm really happy to check out the Hifiman Ananda. Very psyched about that. So I've got the box right here, so let's see what's inside. First of all, just opening it up here, this box is really quite cool. It's like hard shell and it's got this sort of like coating of leatherish material. This is a warranty card, the owner's guide. Okay. Before even taking the headphones out, there's this little compartment. Alright, so there are two cables in here. Awesome. One is this 1/4 inch cable, and then the other one is 1/8 inch, 3.5 millimeter. Oh, yes! These are sick. So kind of breaking down the design of these headphones, you'll notice, yeah, the headband, it's pretty flexible here. It's got the 2-tiered system like some of their other headphones, with this sort of strip of leather and then, you know, this other layer being like a metal sort of thing. Extenders made of metal, and then yeah, this yoke is sort of the Y-shaped and it's attached to the ear cup with these little screws here. They have a little washer there as well to sort of protect everything. The ear cups rock quite generously, actually, if you notice. They can fully turn all the way around. They don't really like spin inward or outward or anything. Cool. Dang, these are big old ear cups. And you'll sort of notice the shape of them here. They're kind of have an oval shape, but they get thinner toward the bottom, sort of like the shape of the ear. Also, this grill, this is like the coolest thing to me. It has a really awesome look to it, and you can see the diaphragm. Like, I don't know if you can see it in this camera here, but you can see the diaphragm straight through. Just reading the website, reading about the headphone, I know that the diaphragm is specifically designed to be like super thin. Basically can have like really fast transients, and I can actually see straight through the earphone if I look from the inside out. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but like I can see it really well here when I'm just holding them in my hands. So Hifiman actually says that this design of the grill here is made specifically to reduce reflections. So it's supposed to help keep the sound really natural, and it also looks really cool too. I like how the design is, it has like this sense of masculine classiness. And I don't know, maybe masculine is the wrong word, but I just think that like, I like the simplicity of it, and that you've got this matte black against the silver, and it just looks cool to me. Now the ear pads are really awesome. They feel very soft to the touch here, and you'll notice that their coating, it's like sort of this leather on the side, but then the part that actually touches your ear is like this kind of breathable spandex material. So, I don't know, putting these on, it's like super hot right now here in New York, and 90 degrees, my apartment's really hot, and these actually feel pretty cool on the ears. It's not like leather, which can make you like crazy hot. They're thick enough and firm enough so that when I put these on here, my ear is like suspended. It's not touching anything. It fits fully around the ear, and my ear's not touching the ear cup at all. At the same time, they still feel really soft, and actually, these headphones are really comfortable. They're a lot lighter than I thought they were going to be, and the headband actually feels really like balanced on my head. They feel secure, but it's not like overly tight on my actual, like, tight on the ears. Now the cables, these are really cool. They have a cool look to them. You can sort of see the wires going through the cable, through the jacket, because the jacket is clear. And I actually like the design of these a lot. They're sort of like rigid enough to the point where these are not going to get tangled at all. Like, I can already tell just by, you cannot tangle these up. They don't want to be tangled. And especially this one is like a super perfect length. It's like not too long, but it's long enough to, do what it needs to do. They're thick, but it's not like an uncomfortable thickness. This 1/4 inch one seems a bit longer, which sort of makes sense to me. Like, if you have a device that's taking the 1/4 inch size here, you'd probably want to sit a little bit further away from it. So I think that's sort of right in line with what you'd want as well. Both cables seem really durable. The components, the actual, like, physicality, these are Neutrik connectors. I was trying to find information about the actual, like, cable and, which ones these ones specifically were, and I kind of had a hard time finding it on the Hifiman website, so I'll kind of try and do a little bit more research to see. But from the looks of things, it looks like these are the crystalline silver ones from Hifiman, so I'll keep looking and see if I find any information throughout the week. So yeah, I'm super excited to get into the sound portion of this, because these headphones are awesome looking, and I can't wait to hear how they sound. Now, one thing about these headphones is that Hifiman says they're specifically really easy to drive. They're very efficient, they say, so hopefully these planar magnetics, I'll be able to play it straight from my phone. And obviously, throughout the week, I will do more listening tests with better DACs so that I can get a real sense for what these are capable of. Let's see how these babies sound. Oh my gosh, these are awesome. Now, before I get into the actual sound, just commenting on the efficiency of these. Now, I've got my phone here. I get plenty of volume turning it all the way up. However, if you like to listen extremely loudly, you might find this a little bit weak. I find it totally like, it feels like a loud volume to me when it's all the way up. But that said, I can turn it all the way up. The low end feels super full. Really awesome extension, and it's not like particularly emphasized, so to speak. It's almost like hard to describe because it has so much space around it that low frequency stuff totally stands out and is super audible, but it doesn't feel like it's particularly boosted or something. It's just, it feels very even and very, like, kind of realistic, actually. I'm listening to Toto's song Gift of Faith, and the kick drum feels totally full-bodied and punchy and quick. There's sort of this element of, like, roundness to it, which is interesting. It's interesting to have this thing that feels kind of quick and punchy, but also round. But there's also so much space around it that nothing is really competing with it frequency-wise. It totally has its own space. So it's really, really great. Wow, and the mid-range is super well done too. So right now I'm listening to the song Matter of Time by Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. And, like, so first of all, the mid-range just feels very even, but there's great separation. Like, I can hear the guitars and the organ at the same time, which is not always the case. And it just feels like there's this sense of spaciousness there, without it being, like, overdone or overly dramatic. It just feels really, like, really good. Yeah, and the high mids, like, basically that mid-range is very quick reacting as well. And as a result of that, in the high mids especially, I hear so much of the dynamics come through. That's one thing I was really listening for in this song in particular, because the horns are so dynamic that sometimes you can really tell if something feels, like, kind of compressed. But with this song, the horns just feel so realistic, and you really get the full dynamics, the full quiet, really quiet and loud builds that they do. It's really well done. Now, with that said, one thing I'm actually most impressed with is that those high mids come through so clearly and with such great dynamics, but Sharon's voice sits in a very predictable spot. It's not boosted, it's not like lower in the mix than normal, it just feels like it's where it's supposed to be. And that's like the sense I'm getting of these headphones so far, is that everything feels like natural and where it's supposed to be. How else can I put that in a technical way? I don't know. And it does seem there's like this sense of kind of smoothness in the high mids, and that is so far relieving any potential harshness. I'm not getting a sense for that at all. I just put up MGMT song Electric Feel, and in terms of the high frequencies, I'm really psyched because you can really hear so much precision in the highs with like the tambourines and the shaker, and they're so like specific in space. The high frequency extension and the precision in this song is really contributing to how the highs play into the sense of height in the soundstage. This is all with the highs don't feel emphasized. They don't feel like louder in the mix than they ought to be. It feels so natural. This is so well done. And now I'm listening to some Brahms to see, okay, does this work with like genres that don't have drums basically, and things that want an even kind of frequency response? It sounds beautiful. And the harmonic, the like complex harmonic information involved in this Brahms song is full. It feels really realistic. It doesn't feel like anything is really like skimped or forgotten, or like a boost somewhere is taking away from information somewhere else. Wow, this is, oh my gosh. I like the soundstage so much too, because it definitely feels big, wide, and there's a sense of depth, and especially the sense of height. The sense of height to me is the most dramatic part of the soundstage, but the thing that I love about the soundstage on these is that it's not so dramatic that it loses intimacy. I'm listening to Troye Sivan's song, The Good Side. The very first thing that happens in that song is this like embellishment of a harp or something. I don't really know like what instrument it is, but you can really hear it change like the height positioning, and it's really, really well done and super precise. But then the song starts, and it's basically a couple acoustic guitars panned hard left and hard right, and then Troye Sivan singing with like some harmonies and stuff. The width of those guitars doesn't sound like so far away that the voice loses its like power. Like something in the middle feels like kind of glued, and then the wide stuff is still really like detailed and has a sense of space. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain right now, but it sounds great. That's the point. Alright, well, I'm super excited to give these some more time this week, take a listen, and see how my feelings about it change and shift, and especially I'm excited to listen with a better DAC and see how it plays then. Alright, everybody, well, yeah, I'll see you in the future with my overall judgment of these. Overall, I'm just super impressed with how natural these feel and how natural they sound. Sitting on your head, they're super comfortable, and I found that I could listen for hours without any discomfort at all. The sense of lightness with them, as well as, you know, just sort of the sound signature works for long listening sessions. So for those of you that like to go a little crazy with the listening, you'll really enjoy these. So much of this review is going to be me going, wow, this headphone's really good at this thing, and here's why. And I say that just because there wasn't really anything about this headphone that I didn't like. Really such a great piece of gear for $9.99. The lows were quick and clear, there was so much space around them that it sort of worked for just about every genre, even though the low frequencies weren't like crazily boosted or anything like that. So to me, it worked just as well with jazz as it did with hip hop, because the low end is just so clear and clean. Saying that, there was a little bit of a sense of character to it. It's sort of hard to describe, but while the low end was very natural and balanced, it didn't feel neutral and sterilized. It felt like it had some character. The mids are even and they're balanced, and because of that, these work with just about any genre. There's lots of, you could hear the full harmonics of things, and because of that, it works really well for things with strings. I thought they sounded great with classical music, but I also thought it sounded really good for pop and rock, because you could really get a sense for all of the elements of the song, even if it's sort of a complicated piece of music. Additionally, there's really a sense of realism, especially in the mid-range for me, and because of that, it sort of gives you this sense that the music you're listening has sort of a liveliness to it. And maybe it's also because the dynamics are really well done. They're not so active and crazy that it feels like too energetic or something like that. Although I did find that comparing the dynamics to your smartphone, for example, was nowhere where I could hear them compared to using a different sort of DAC, a dedicated DAC for these. And a little bit of amplification actually helped it a lot too, I found. Saying that though, it worked really well with the phone, and so long as you don't really need to blast the music, you'll definitely get enough power from the phone. The highs were also really well balanced. You could hear so much precision and lots of details that make listening really fun, but it didn't feel overly emphasized, and the balances of all the instruments across the frequency spectrum just sounded like where they were supposed to sit, like it was how the mixer intended them to be heard. So I really appreciated that about these headphones. There's a sense of quickness up there, and I think my favorite part about it is the sense of extension that you get from this. Now, the extension for me really contributed to the soundstage. It contributed to that sense of realism I was talking about, and I think it just really makes the headphones just really all around great for detail without being too harsh. Now, the soundstage was very well done. It's not so crazily deep as something like an Odyssey headphone. However, it almost reminded me a little bit of a Final Audio headphone, where there's a sense of intimacy there, yet you still have this very detailed sense of width and height. So I thought that part of it was extremely well done, especially for a headphone at this price. Things panned in the left to right spectrum felt very wide, and you might expect that from an open back set of headphones. In fact, I think that, there really must be something here to the grill being the way it is, as Hifiman suggested, because it really feels uninhibited in a way that helps the soundstage a lot. And saying all that, there still was a sense of depth, and I think that listening to jazz music and classical music and even some folky stuff with acoustic instruments, you can really get a sense, you can hear the room mics really clearly, and that sets things in a stage. However, you won't lose, it doesn't feel like you're sitting in front of speakers. It still feels like a set of headphones, if that makes sense. While the Ananda is balanced, it doesn't feel neutral. It doesn't feel bland. In other words, it still has a sense of character, and it's sort of hard to put my fingers on even, but I guess the place where I feel that character the most is in, the high mids, and also in the soundstage being just very musical and pleasant and really complementing all different kinds of genres really well. So thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. And if you want another perspective on these headphones, be sure to check out the Major Hi-Fi blog. I will leave a link to it in the description box down below. One of my colleagues actually did a review as well, so you'll be able to sort of hear his perspective. All right, everybody, thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.